everybody, my name is Naya and I'm the Black female engineer. I provide content for new and aspiring software engineers, and today we're going to be talking about which is better, a startup or a big company. So let's figure that out. Starting with the day-to-day that you can expect of these two types of companies. Starting with a startup. With a startup, you can expect to do many different things and not just your duties as a developer or as an engineer. You'll be expected to help out in marketing. You'll be expected to assist in design, to assist in some admin work. It really is not just you doing the coding and then someone else doing something else. You'll be touching the different parts of the business. Now, this can be very good for people who get bored easily or people who want to learn different parts of a business. Maybe you're looking to one day create your own startup, create your own business. This is a great way to know what goes into that. However, there are long hours. You can expect longer, maybe not long, depending on the startup, but you can expect longer hours than that of a large corporation because you're touching all these different things. You are gonna have to stick around longer. If the site crashes, then it's you who has to wake up at 2 a.m. to get the code base running again and make sure things are good. There's not all these different people who can do that job when you're not at the desk. And so that is where things can get tricky. Now, going to a larger company, you definitely will have more of a likelihood of having the straight 8-hour workday, 40 hours a week, and not needing to extend your hours or be in all these different roles. You can expect to have one job and one job only, one project you're working on for a year, one feature you're working on, and that is that. This can be great for people who like to know what their day will look like, who get anxious. I know me, I get anxious wondering what tomorrow holds. And of course there's, elements of that. But in terms of what you're responsible for, what is expected of you, that doesn't really change. Now, where things can get tricky is you could get bored easier because you're doing this one thing, and also you're working on an already existing project. Likely, if it's a big company, it's probably been here for decades. The project and the product you're working on has been here long before you were here, and it'll be here long after you're gone. So it's less innovative, I'd say. You feel less innovative. You're working on maintaining code and you're working on fixing bugs and maybe making processes better or faster, so it can be less innovative because of that. However, with this, you'll get to know one thing really well, so it can be very great professionally. Now, going into pay and benefits. So with a large company, you can expect a better amount of cash coming your way, just in terms of base pay and bonuses. However, I'm not really sure, to be honest, who wins in this category, startup or large company. And here's why. With a startup, where they make up for their probably lower base pay is with their stock options, especially if they are private. If they're a small company, odds are they are private. Now, why is this important? Stock options, when a company goes public, you can end up very rich very fast because you are able to get stock at a discount. And now that the company is public, all these people are getting their stock. The stock is much higher, and now you are able to get compensation in the form of stock in like a crazy, like 3-fold, 4-fold, 8-fold amount. So here's a funny example of this so you can really get what I mean. So when Facebook bought WhatsApp, the 55 employees that worked for WhatsApp, they got $3 billion to split between them. With the early developers, employees that were with them from day 1, day 2, day 3, getting up to $150 million. Yeah. So that's what I mean when I say I don't know which is better. Now, I'm not saying to go to a startup so you can become a billionaire, and then so don't be coming at me when you don't get millions a few years in. Like, that is not what I'm saying. The Facebook example is an extreme example, but it just illustrates my point. You get a lower base pay, but you get stock options, and if your company is bought by a much larger company, or they go public, so they can now be, traded upon, the stock exchange, and you can go on Robinhood and get some stock, then your compensation package looks a lot better. On top of this, there are also little tiny trinkets of benefits here and there with startups, like being able to drink at work. Like, there are so many startups around me where there is a fridge full of beer and seltzers and wines, and you can just chill. Like, your clothes, you can come up in here with your sweats and your loafers and go to work. It is so chill and relaxed, and so that can be a big benefit for people in terms of their lifestyle at work. At big companies, like let's say you're a software engineer at a bank, odds are there will still be some type of restrictions in terms of dress code for you. I know when I worked at a bank, the software engineers still looked pretty relaxed. I was actually pretty shocked, to be honest, be me and my, accountant finance mind and everything. But there, you can expect just more restrictions than a startup. However, with a large company, there are also, more chances for large events, galas, holiday parties, and all the works, having food paid for and everything every single day at your office, and just increased convenience. So that's why I say in terms of salary and things and benefits, it's a toss-up. It kind of depends how long you're looking to stay at that company, what things are most important to you. Do you need that base pay? Or are you able to stick it around for 5 years to see if your company gets acquired or gets that IPO? Next, we're going to talk about community. It's probably not a shock that with a startup, you can expect a more tight-knit group. You can expect feeling more like a quote-unquote family. I personally, that is a red zone word for me in terms of companies calling themselves families, but that's a conversation for a different day. But it can feel just more tight-knit, more like a close community. You know the people you're working with. You probably will know more of the people in the entire company than you would a large company. On top of that, with a startup, you have much more access to higher ups. You can have access to the CEO, the COO, your senior managers. Your boss himself could be the CEO. I have friends where this is their situation. And so in terms of learning and development, it can be very inspiring to be around those people and to learn from those people. Again, especially if you are looking to have a company for yourself in the future. Now, when it comes to a large company, odds are you won't know most of the people. You will probably just know your team. In terms of very, very closely, you will know your team and maybe a few people here and there outside of it, but that's kind of it. If you want to know more people outside of your team, then you're gonna have to put in that legwork of going to the happy hour, going to so-and-so event, going to so-and-so soccer tryout. You have to put in more work. But it can also be really nice knowing that on any given day, you'll meet 5 to 10 new people, maybe in terms of really meeting, talking to them, 5 to 10 more people. Maybe you're very outgoing, you can meet 100 people a day. But yeah, getting to know that you will always be meeting someone new from different teams, different operations, different lines of business. That can be very exciting for some, where some people with small companies, startups, they don't like the idea of after 30 days, everything about everybody, and it is just all the time, and you don't meet anyone new and all of that. So depends on the person you are. I mentioned that with the startup, you have more access to higher ups. With a big company, you have also very great access to robust and structured mentoring opportunities. Many times when you're new to a large company, you're immediately set up with at least one mentor. I know me, I was set up with at least 3 people at a time. It would be a mentor, a senior mentor, and then a like buddy. Yes, that's what they would call it, a buddy. And so it's a very robust mentoring process, and that can be very, very great for you if you are new to this realm of developing in a company. So that can be something that is very attractive to you. Last thing about the community, this is something that's very important to me. If you came to this channel, it's likely important to you, but people of color. There are 7% Black people in the software and engineering realm in technology. There are 3% Black women. In a small company, a startup, let's say the percentages are the same for startup versus large company. Startup, that's 7 people if you work for a company of 100. Now for a large company, if you work, at a company that has 10,000 people in the building, that's significantly more. That's 700? Yeah, 700 people. And so, of course, the percentages are the same, but I mean, I would rather get the chance to talk with 700 Black people and, we kick it than the 7 people. I don't know. That is just my thoughts on that. And so, yes, there is more people of color, more women in larger companies because there's a larger sample size. The percentage may be the same, but there's more of them. So that is something to also think about if that's important to you. The professional development part is something I've seen a lot of people kind of skip over, and that's why I'm going to mention it here. With a startup, you will be working with very innovative, very cutting edge technologies, features, all the works, all the bells and whistles, and they're a lot more open to experimentation and trying new things. And so if you like to be part of that process of seeing, how to implement new features and coding those features out and all of that, a startup may be the best place for you. Because in a big company, again, they have been here long before you came around. They're now just about to switch their languages and frameworks just because you're here. They will be using the same languages they've been using since the Stone Ages and all of that. So it's something to think about when looking at these 2 different companies. And on top of that, with the startup, you can actually envision yourself actually coding out these features because they don't exist yet. You know what I mean? Like, they are still in the development stages. They're still working on building things from the ground up, while with a big company, it's been there and you just need to make sure it stays there. And so really you're maintaining that code and instead of building things up. So in terms of feeling like you're really having a true impact around you, a startup might be better. However, and this is for me what kind of steered me away from startups, even though I would honestly love to be there at some point, is there's not a very robust learning structure. You come there, great, sit down, we need this feature. There's not really many people to train you. There's not really many training materials created for you. Shoot, you may be the person who's creating those learning materials for the people after you. So if you're a person who really needs structure because you're new at this, because you are still learning and processing things, then that's when you kind of need to see what's more important. Because for me, that's really what I focused on was, shoot, I don't know. I'm sorry, I cannot. And so the idea of being put in an environment like that was very terrifying for me. But I know if I was put in that environment, I would have grown so quickly, because I would have been forced to learn quickly and use that on the job so rapidly. So I know that my trajectory and my growth would have been like nothing else. But then for me, my stress would have also been like nothing else. And then lastly, mobility. With a startup, if you want to switch jobs, you gotta start that job hunt all over again, and you gotta really actually pack your bags and go. With a large company, if you want to change jobs, you can just say to your boss, look, I want to work with X and X technology instead. I want to work with a team that works on automation and robotics, and I know you have that division down in Texas. I want to go there. And that can be a much smoother transition and easier way to do that. And it just was because of a conversation. Also thinking about not just business units, but also locations. If you care about being able to switch locations, but also don't want to do that legwork of looking for a job each time, a large company may be great because they have locations everywhere. If you want to go to Dubai, go. Okay, it's not that easy, but you see where I'm going with this. You have a lot more flexibility and mobility with a larger company. Of course, people need to trust you. Of course, people need to say you've been doing a good job and can actually contribute to your teams in different ways and all of that. But if you can, then having a conversation about locations you want to change or business units you want to change could be no problem. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram at the Black Female Engineer. And thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing y'all soon. Bye, y'all.